get to know the top tight end prospects from the 2023 NFL draft class next on Fantasy Football Today in 5. Welcome to FFT in 5. I'm Chris Towers. I'm here with Emory Hunt. And as of recording, it's 12:09. No free agent signings yet, guys. It's only been 9 minutes. We're still waiting for where Aaron Rodgers is going to fall. And on FFT in 5 and the full episodes of Fantasy Football Today, we'll have everything you need to know about from the NFL free agency process. But today, Emory and I are going to continue our process of going through some of the top draft prospects. And this time we're going to talk about a position that actually is pretty interesting. You know, we talked about tight end free agency last week and some tight end rookie review stuff, and it wasn't a lot to be excited about. But Emory, this draft class at tight end promises to be one of the best in a while, right?
Yeah, and the reason why, Chris, is because I grade tight ends in 3 different portions. I do inline tight ends, H-back prospects, and flex tight ends, which are your bigger wide receiver types.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing it spread across all 3. Normally it's, man, this is a heavy class for inline. This is a heavy class for flex and H-back. But across the board, we're seeing it spread out. So, yes, this is a more deeper class, in my opinion.
Yeah, we've got some real big boys at the tight end position this year. I mean, Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, 265 pounds. Darnell Washington from Georgia, 6'7", 270. He's going to be an awesome addition to someone's blocking. But is Darnell Washington a guy that people should get excited about for fantasy as well?
You know, that's a tough one. He's my number 6 inline guy. So I'm a little bit more hesitant on him as a receiver. I got to see it first. Just like we saw with the big tight end down in Indianapolis. Just from a blocking standpoint, he's going to be on the field because he's a devastating blocker.
Yeah.
But as a receiver, there's a little bit more out there left for him to fully develop. So we'll see if he get that opportunity to do so. Because if you're looking at him as you would, let's say, an athletic tight end, that's a vertical threat. That's not his game. He's someone that just wins because he's big, and that's still a place in the NFL, especially inside the red zone.
Yeah, who is your top tight end prospect, at least, you know, among that like receiving group that the fantasy community is going to really be worried about?
Well, my number 1 flex tight end is Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. I'm a big fan of what he brings to the table. I think he's a fantastic route runner and also receiver. My number 1 inline guy, who's also one of the top tight ends in the country, is Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. He just finds a way to get open. He's more of that old school blocking, but also find a way to get open type tight end and catches everything thrown his way. And as the H-back, that's more your versatile guy, Sam Laporta out of Iowa. It seems like Iowa just knows how to recruit tight ends because he's fantastic. And I'm surprised not a lot more people are talking about him in terms of being a tremendous receiving threat out of the position.
Yeah, from a fantasy perspective, you know, tight ends are a really tough position to make an impact right away, especially. You know, there are not a lot of rookie tight ends who have really done that. Recently, I think, you know, Evan Ingram had 700+ yards. Kyle Pitts obviously got to 1,000. Is there anyone that you can see in this class who could step on an NFL field and make their impact felt for fantasy right away?
Yeah, it could be Mayer based off how he's built. He's going to get on the field because he can block. Kincaid depends. A lot of these other guys, it does depend on what offense they go to. But I can see Mayer having success. Another guy that I'm very high on, that's a highly rated guy, is Musgrave out of Oregon State. We just saw his teammate Keegan quit Toriano. Didn't have a lot of receptions coming out of Oregon State as well, but had some success with the Texans last year. I see Musgrave doing the same thing. You also look at Brandon Strange out of Penn State. He could block. He can hold his own in the run game, but also is someone that can get deep, get vertical. So, yeah, some of those guys could be options maybe later, you know, in the fantasy draft. But right now, you look at Mayer, you look at Kincaid, and you look at Laporta being the top 3 targets.
All right. What about are there any other sleepers at the position that we should be paying attention to heading into the draft?
See that helmet behind me? See that jersey behind me? Of course, I'm going to bring up a Raging Cajun, Johnny Lumpkin, the big tight end. He came in at the NFLPA Bowl when I was out there at 6'5", 273. People were shocked at how big he was, but also shocked at how well he ran routes. Because he's a fantastic inline blocker, he was for my Raging Cajuns, he's going to get on the field early. Because he, like Michael Mayer, can find a way to get open, will do so. So I think he's one of these guys you can find later in the draft, stash him, and by week 6, week 7, week 8, be like, oh, man, I'm glad I picked him up because he's a good one.
How many tight ends do you think are going to get drafted in the first round this year?
I think one tight end we'll see going round 1. You know, we always love to say you throw a lot of tight ends, you throw a lot of receivers, a lot of quarterbacks, all the skill players go in the first round. Then when we see the first round play out, it's a boatload of defensive players and maybe
Mhm.
a handful of skill guys. So I do see one guy going. If I had to guess, it's going to be Mayer because a lot of people view him highly coming out of Notre Dame.
All right, that's going to do it for FFT and 5. We'll be back next week, talk more prospect stuff with Emory. We'll be back the rest of the week to cover all the NFL free agency news you need to know about. We'll see you then.